This episode is brought to you by Another Heist. Hey music makers, our passion drives our mission with our free open studio experience, helping you overcome financial hurdles so you can keep the hits coming. In our marketing package, it's not just an add-on, it's crucial for your success and ours. We're fueling the growth of the New England music scene, making it part of our core strategy, because when our community thrives, we all flourish. Join us and be a part of the movement. You see these kicks? These kicks were dirty. They were beat up, I couldn't wear them. But I got in contact with Lara Murchie at 537 Shawmut Ave, the fashion center, and he brought these beauties back to life. Get in touch with him if you need your kicks clean, your furniture done, your purses done. It ain't called the fashion center for no reason. At 537 Shawmut Ave in historic South Boston. Just tell him your boy said ya. Peace. What is going on, good people? Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Say That Podcast. And y'all know my motto, don't say this, say that. I want to thank everybody who's tuned into my last episode with PH Imbalance. It was the first time I had a collective of artists in there. 4 of them came in. They were all talking their shit, and they were all meaning it. So I highly suggest you go watch that episode right now. And if you liked it, please hit that like button and leave a comment to tell me which part of the episode you did like. And as always, smash that subscribe button to help grow this channel. If you haven't already, please follow the platform on Instagram, say_that_pod, and myself on Instagram, REPETE617. Now for today's episode, this one got me excited. I know I say a lot of them do, but this one really does. Because for the first time since I had Mike Scarfo, Turntable Teachers, on, even though he's behind the camera, he's basically in the podcast room every day, I got another platform in here with me. And this platform, if you pay attention to the Massachusetts scene and the platforms in, if you don't know who they are you living under a rock or something? Because, ladies and gentlemen, it's Jack and Owen of Boston's Big Four. What's going on, gents?
What is going on, man? Thank you for having us. Appreciate it.
Of course. Like I said, this is one of those long time coming episodes.
Absolutely.
And I'm very excited y'all came up. Jack, you from Hingham, and obviously, you're coming in from Rosendale, so I appreciate the ride up and shit.
Of course,
like that.
yeah. Now we know how it feels. Everyone was telling us it felt like Western Mass coming down to Hingham, so.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously myself, as I told you off camera, I frequent Hingham a lot, so I know how to get there with the ferry and all that different stuff. But if you're driving up here, it's a ride.
Driving's a different story, yeah.
I've had people come in from Brockton that it took them like an hour 45.
Oh, yeah.
Just to come up here.
You never know with the traffic, especially if you're going through Boston. I mean, unbelievable.
Brockton's also particularly hard to get to. You got to take like every highway and then do back roads. It's crazy.
Right.
But
absolutely.
It is what it is.
Plus you get that, everyone's coming home from work traffic and shit like that. And that's the worst thing in Massachusetts.
True.
So, as I've said in the intro, you guys have one of the more iconic indie platforms in the scene itself. Over the last almost 10 years, it's grown to just become one of the household names. But one thing I'm curious of is how you guys got your start. So why don't you tell the good people right now how Boston's Big Four came to be?
All right, so it's kind of a process. What you see now is not what it was in the beginning. It was something I started in my college dorm room. I started a Celtics blog in my college dorm room in 2013.
Nice. Where'd you go to college, by the way?
University of Scranton.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pennsylvania?
Pennsylvania.
Oh, shit.
Yes.
It's in the muffin up here.
Yeah. So I did a Celtics blog for a couple years, transformed it into a blog covering all 4 teams. That's when it changed to Boston's Big Four. It was called Causeway Hoops when it was a Celtics blog. And then I would say 2016 is when I started covering music.
Okay.
I just decided to write an article about artists that were popping at the time, which was Michael Christmas, Cousin Stiz, Joyner Lucas. That was kind of obviously a monumental time for New England hip-hop. So wrote an article on that. It blew up, and I was like, all right, I should start focusing on this a little bit. So I incorporated music into it. Then 2018, my guy Eastman, Dave Eastman, Easty, shout out to him.
Easty the Muscle?
Easty the Muscle, yes.
Shout out Easty the Muscle.
He was like, you got to start a podcast. He's like, I'll be your co-host. So we did that for a couple years. He got busy, had to drop out. Owen picked up the slack big time. I mean, he's been huge in like the whole production aspect and everything. He's kind of the brains behind the operation. So yeah. So
Killing me, bro. I don't think so.
so yeah, that's been since 2019. Owen and I have been doing the podcast, and then we took a little year off, but now we're back. So
Nice. That's what's up. That's what's up. Because, you know, you've grown this into this really big platform, especially on Instagram. You know, your YouTube's also popping as well. I think y'all just broke 10K on Instagram, actually, right?
yeah, we're at 13 now.
13. Wow.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
just
So
It's going up.
yeah, no, that's definitely
Quick
going up.
flex.
It's shout out to the Celtics though. They helped a lot with that.
Yeah, 100%. Especially this
winning the-
last season.
Yeah,
100%.
absolutely.
Yeah. But one of the things that people associate with this platform is the playlist.
Yes.
You know, the weekly playlist that takes up every Sunday. Right? You update it?
It's every Monday.
every
It
Monday,
was
yeah.
every Friday, but now it's every Monday.
So I'm curious, you know, how and when did you start it? And, you know, are there any qualifications to making the playlist?
All right, so I started it 2019. I changed the name of it every year. Right now it's 2024 in New England, but it's the same playlist. I take songs I leave songs up there for a year at the most. So it's a little long. I understand. Like, I know people are probably a little overwhelmed by how long it is, but everything on there is within the past year. And basically, I listen to music, and if I vibe to it, like, I throw it on there. Like, if it's, you know, I'm not going to lie and say that I listen to every song all the way through, but if I put a song on and I'm vibing to it, like a minute in, I'll be like, all right, throw this one on there. So,
what's up.
yeah, it has to be good.
Okay, yeah.
It has to be good.
Yeah, you ain't just giving out, this
Right.
ain't no charity case. You
Right,
ain't just
exactly.
making this playlist because it's just a playlist.
Right.
But it's cool because, you know, every artist you do put on there is super thankful. Like, I
Right.
see it, like, if I don't see the post that you updated it, I see it on somebody else's
That's
story.
like my
So
favorite
many
time of the
reshares,
week is
yeah.
posting that because I love seeing the reaction of everyone like being excited that their song's on there.
And
It's cool.
sometimes that's sometimes that artist's first time on a playlist too.
Yeah, true.
So, but like I said, you know, and I actually shouted out you guys when I started the Say That playlist, which
Yep.
is just because you don't discriminate. You put any, even if they haven't been on your platform,
Right.
you just put them on.
Right.
I'm more in house a little
You
bit.
put like the
with-
guys who have been on the
like
podcast,
guys and girls, anybody
that
if
have been on the
if you've
podcast.
been on
Yeah.
the pod, your music's on the playlist.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
all, but you're different. You're Spotify. I'm Apple Music.
Oh,
So
interesting.
you know what I'm
Right.
saying. So we kind of got both areas covered in that kind of
Right.
sense.
So I'm YouTube music, so this is kind of like the Three Horsemen here.
Oh shit!
Look at us go.
No? Okay,
That's
All
crazy.
right, damn.
Yeah,
We're
I need
actually
to
working
get
on
the
getting
play
the
up.
playlist
Yeah,
everywhere.
we got to get it everywhere.
Yeah.
There's ways to do it.
Eventually.
It's
Okay,
a little
'cause-
complicated, but we're figuring it
Yeah,
out.
if you figure it out, let me know because
Yeah.
I don't own Spotify
Yeah.
because it's
Me
like
neither,
I got Apple Music. Why do I need Spotify? But
Right.
obviously, not everybody listens to Apple Music, so I would like to know.
Yeah.
But that is good to know.
I just want to give a quick shout out to YouTube Music. You get ad-free YouTube. You get YouTube Music anyways, all the same music, and it pays the artist more than other platforms. So
There
guys,
you go.
So
Come on, guys.
Owen's better than all of us.
I'm just saying, there's really like no downside, and you
No,
also
you're
get
right.
podcasts on there too. So
Really? Okay, that's good to know.
That's what's up.
Let's see.
just saying.
No,
Yeah.
because that might be a hidden gem because more people got to do that.
Yeah, Spotify does not pay the artist enough. I will say that, but
No,
I
absolutely
do
not. Neither
like
does Apple
Spot.
Music.
It's great for getting exposure though.
Right.
It is
definitely.
good for that, like playlisting and stuff like that.
Oh,
So,
absolutely.
yeah.
So, who or what was your first interaction with like Massachusetts music? I know you had mentioned, Stiz and Christmas, and Recipes to Replay. Kind of, he was in that realm too. Actually, that brought me back to when I was actually in college. I was scoping on Twitter trying to find because I was writing for the sports page at the time. It's since gone defunct. But I wanted to get into music because I knew of guys like that.
Yeah.
And I had written an article. The title of it was "Getting to Know the Boston Music Scene," and it was Stiz, Christmas, Replay, Plaid Finesse, and I want to say Vintage Lee was the fifth. I had
Okay.
just stuck it to them, but because my interaction was actually Hefe Replay, and then it was Stiz.
Okay.
I know Stiz had dropped Suffolk County in 2015.
Yep.
But up until the tail end of that year, going into 2016, I had my friend had actually discovered Hefe Replay because around the North End,
Yeah.
that music really doesn't get there unless you really search for it. But since my friend's a frequent, he was all over SoundCloud.
Yeah.
That's where that stuff was, and that's how I got hip.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious as to how you got hip to the Boston rappers or Massachusetts rappers.
I will say freshman year of high school, when I was 14, Eastman again. Shout out to Easty. He told me about terminology. This was, I'm dating myself here, but this was 2007. He told me about
19, though.
yeah,
We're 19.
no, we're actually You didn't hear that,
No,
but
right, yeah.
this
You
was
were a kid, yeah. You were a little kid.
this was terminology. This was Ed OG. This was Rex. So just, a lot of legends.
Yeah,
Those are the guys that I got into first, and I was like, oh wow, Boston actually has rappers. This is cool. Like, obviously I knew about Gangstar too.
Of course. New Edition, that type of
New
thing.
Edition, yeah. But no, that's where it started for me. I'd say about 07.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Because wow, so you're kind of like really early to me.
But then I only knew about that handful of artists for like a few years. And then I would say like 2015, 2016, like we said, Michael Christmas, Cousin Stiz, Token started to pop. He was only like 15 years old. Joyner Lucas, like all those big names, Dutch Rebel, like that you hear now, all started to pop like around that time. So it just became really exciting at that time.
When you wrote that article, though, didn't a ton of people come at you with like a bunch of people now that are currently relevant? Yeah.
Really?
The day I
Like
released that
Millie's,
article
interesting.
is the day I found out about Millie's, because people were like, you got to put Millie's in there.
Yeah, that's true.
Yep.
Because he was in that kind of sped era, like
It was right before he dropped the Short Bus EP, so that's where my fandom of Millie's started, because I tapped into him after that.
yeah.
And then who else? M. Dot. Shout out to M. Dot. I've had him on the podcast since then. Like we get along great
His
now.
album's on the wall over there.
We get along great now, but he definitely bitched me out on Twitter after I posted that article for not including him. Yeah,
No way.
Yeah, he did. But it was. I had a lot of people coming at me because I didn't know much.
Right.
I really and for good reason they were coming at me. I didn't know how much talent there was. I only knew like the names that were really making headlines.
Right.
So I just wrote about that just to see how it went.
No,
and then
that's actually a very good assessment of talent, and not coming from a hating standpoint.
Yeah.
Because I feel as though when you discover the top names, you kind of have to dig deeper. Because I don't like to tier people, but I think of it in like a tier.
Yeah.
Where I think of it like the iceberg. Like, you ever see those like conspiracy iceberg pictures? Like, the deeper you go with stuff. Like, I just feel like the deeper you go with Massachusetts music, the more good stuff you're gonna find.
Yeah.
So maybe the tip of the iceberg.
And I'm still finding stuff every day, and it's never gonna stop.
Exactly,
So,
absolutely
yeah.
not. So the tip of the iceberg may be Stiz, Millie's, Christmas,
Right.
and then you just keep going and keep going and keep going.
Right.
Me personally, my experience, obviously I told you that article I wrote and the names I've included, but I had friends who rapped. Like, I was just here and there.
Yeah.
In terms of like where they made music, but it really was starting this platform that I discovered everybody else. So like Feed the Family, Van Buren, Isha Key, Devo, C4. I can go on and on.
Right.
Yeah.
But my big thing was always, you really shouldn't have to start or write about artists to discover them. It's good if you do. It shows that you're a fan, but think of like the casual fan. Think of like the person who, isn't interested in getting in a creative aspect. I would hope that once they find Stiz, Millie's, etc., they go deeper into the iceberg and discover everybody else.
Yeah.
That's always just been my thing.
I mean, it's happening, but how
Definitely.
do you find that? That's like, I
Right.
think what do you search? Like, what is the first thing? I go on YouTube, Boston artists that aren't Millie's or Cousin Stiz. It's like, how do I search that? So you just like keep like hoping the algorithm help like finds it for you. But these platforms, like what we're doing, I think is what it is. And I don't know if that, and forgive me if I'm wrong, but if that really existed beyond the radio, like back when all this was happening. So I think this is kind of like a frontier
Definitely.
I mean,
That's a great
especially
point.
around here, there's tons of podcasts successful everywhere and even around here. But I feel like this scene is right now budding. And I mean, this could just be my bias because I got involved in 2019. And like you said, ever since I figured out those top 3, top 5, and now infinite number of people that I love and are on my playlist now. And I'm like, I didn't realize this before. I thought I knew. There were like a handful of people from my area that were like the local rappers. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, that must be all there is. And I'm like, these guys kind of suck. So I was like, I don't know like where to find it. So anyways, that's kind of like, I think this is very important. So things like this is
Definitely.
how people find it. Because the truth is, I don't know how you would otherwise, unless somebody showed it to you, like word of mouth, and
Exactly.
that's a little different these days with social media.
And, you know, a big thing, too, could be promoting, like, the shows they have if there's a lot of people on the bill or if it's one of their headliners. But, I like to think that the way I found it was through Instagram.
Yeah,
'Cause,
I
you
was
know,
about to say that.
you make
Once you get
Instagram-
into that community on Instagram, it's like you just start.
You just keep getting the
You find an
suggested
artist and it's like,
followers.
oh, 295 mutual followers. Yeah, I
yeah.
should probably follow
Exactly,
this person.
right.
Yeah.
It's
Exactly.
a good vetting process.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
like, oh yeah, they're followed by like 1 billion people that I also know.
Yes,
Makes
exactly.
sense.
That's a good point. But obviously, you know, nothing's perfect within the mass music scene or even just the mass creative scene as a whole. So I'm curious to ask you this because, you know, as I've said, you guys are on the frontier. You know, you're deep in the shit. I like in a good way. Is there anything you really
And a bad
change?
way.
Yes. If there is, I'd like to hear. If there's anything you change with the scene, whether it's, you know, how people do business, how people interact with each other, you know, anything like that, I'm curious to know.
I don't think there's anything in particular that is my business to say should be changed. I think every interaction, circumstance is different business-wise because, I mean, if we're just going to talk about how people charge each other, sometimes that's a little hollow, like people asking for, I mean, I think like the lowest form of that is asking for social media posts, like paying for those. I think that's like, we would never charge somebody for a social media post.
No, absolutely not.
And
Yeah.
like, I definitely, I don't want to say I look down on, but I question the integrity of the journalism, so to speak, of people that do take paid
absolutely.
posts. Because I'm always like, what is the point of this if you can just pay to get on?
Because then you're just
So-
posting. Yeah, you're posting whoever pays you.
Right.
You're not posting what you think is good.
So that's one thing I guess that I maybe am more firm on. But the other piece of like features, like charging for features, that can vary widely. Like, because if you like the person and you believe in them, you just take a 50-50 or something. Like, it depends on how that goes. So I'm like, that's what I was saying. It's not really my business to tell anyone how they do that. But I do think, and I've said this in the past, is I think it's short-sighted to not give somebody a chance. Like, if you're like, oh, my fee is $2K, but you have heard of this guy and maybe it could be a good deal. Try to look past a couple of bucks now and see if maybe you can build this relationship and maybe it becomes like you're the next like Bad Meets Evil or something, like whatever duo you want to be. Like, so anyways, yeah, that's just one thing I think people need to be open about working with each other. I think it is happening. Like, as we've talked about Boston being the crabs in a barrel thing, it's kind of an old conversation. People have brought it up so many times that I think otherwise, I think the scene is doing exactly what it needs to do. So I wouldn't change anything other than, I guess, the pay-to-play piece.
Oh yeah, definitely that pay to play. I feel like that's a convo that a lot of people had so many times that now it's like, all right, let's talk about something else. But
Yeah, exactly.
Jack, I'm curious to know if there's anything you would change.
Anything I would change? No. I like Owen said, I don't think it's like my business to even say what should change and what shouldn't. Like I think that there's a lot of good things happening right now. So
I think, and I agree with you. I think there's more good things that outweigh the bad things.
right. So I'd rather focus on the good things, I
Right.
guess.
Exactly. That's a very good point.
But while we're harping on it, give us 3 negative things that you don't like.
Okay. All right. I like
Here we
that.
go.
So I agree with you with the paid to play posts. And I think, and I'm not going to name them by names, there's a lot of big pages who are in this scene
No, say
who
him.
do
say
that.
him.
You know,
Pages that seem to keep growing. What's going on?
Boston culture and hip hop New England.
A lot of hashtags.
You went there. You went
And I'm
there.
not the first person to go there. Yes. I just think,
Yeah.
like, you know, and I do, maybe I could say maybe I'm a little jealous that it is popping like that, and I'm not, but that's like, the comparison is the thief of joy type thing.
Yeah,
where it's
yeah.
like, if you compare yourself to that, you're not going to have fun, you're just going to always be miserable. So I do look past that. Looking at it from like an outsider's perspective, because when I interacted, it's like, all right, like, what is this? You know, all they're doing is just taking WBZ's news, the same caption, the same picture, slapping it out there and throwing it. So I'm like,
And being like,
and
stay
it's
safe
like,
out there, but
yeah,
it's a
like
week old.
hashtag COVID vaccine and a post that's not even about the COVID vaccine. I'm like,
Hashtag
Yeah.
Kamala
all right,
Harris.
dude. Like,
They
you know what I'm
also
saying? It's like,
they'll post about like a missing child and it's like a fake post or something,
Right.
and then they won't take it down for 2 days, and there's people like
it's-
panicking, saying,
yeah.
"Oh my god, we need to find this child," and it's not
it's
even a
like-
real thing. It's
yeah,
just,
so it's like
unbelievable.
it's like from the journalistic integrity part that you talked about.
Yeah.
It's like,
No, the integrity's out the window.
no,
with
right? It's
them,
out the
but
window. You
it's-
know,
yeah.
if you want to call it selling your soul, I'll call it selling my soul. That's what you did. You know, it's just you're not highlighting the artists that are actually popping. You're highlighting who's lit that has money to pay you for it.
Right.
So that's my thing.
It's funny though when they post someone that's like so unbelievably whack and they clearly paid for it. And
yeah.
The comments are all just like,
Oh,
"What
yeah.
is this?"
I will say, and I gotta give him a shout out. The one person, and it's not my business if he pays for it or not. That they actually do post consistently that is good is Exit Fame. I will give him that. That you know, he's a very good guy. The story's very excellent. So I will say that. Don't say this. But
Interesting.
there you go. See,
We did it. Yeah, guys.
Little fun fact: anytime anyone says say that outside of this, even if it's my friends, it's like, oh, why did he say that? I like whisper. I go, don't say this. Like just subconsciously, they're like, what? I'm like, nothing. You know what I'm saying? It's like a tick in me almost.
Yeah.
I love it.
But the second thing I would say is, and I think about how when CW TFB they were attempting to cancel it. It's like,
Cancel what?
remember that thing on Hip Hop New England where it was like, oh,
Yeah.
petition to cancel CW TFB.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
First
Who
of all,
started that?
that was I don't even know. I think it was
forgot all
fake.
about that,
You
yeah.
know, Charlie says he never saw the petition. I
Yeah.
never saw it either. I didn't even know where to look for it. I just think it was fake, but also that's good free publicity for CW TFB.
Yeah.
because in
I
that
don't even
sense,
remember what this was about.
I don't either. And
sound off in the comments if you know. Let's
Right.
rehash this.
you know what? I'm gonna post it on Instagram to see if
Right as we
people
said,
do
we said
remember.
before this podcast, we don't get involved in beefs at all.
No,
And
right?
here
We are
are.
absolutely we're just the observing
That's not
parties.
true. Your Honor, let the record show that I said that I actually wanted to start a podcast war. So let's just see what happens.
Abstain. But that type of thing where it's like, all right, first of all, how are you going to cancel a podcast? Oh, it got 1,000 signatures. Oh, stop going to the sound lab and recording. It's like, no, you can't tell someone what to not do if it got 1,000 signatures. You acting like he killed a guy. All right,
that
at
was
most
crazy.
he just sounded off on like something. I even forget what it was, but knowing him because he's a very brash and honest person, it was what it was. So I think that kind of like the fake stuff like that where you're clearly just doing it to like incite a reaction out of the party you're going after,
The
and then they're
clickbaity
coming
stuff
after you.
is annoying. Yeah.
Yeah,
Definitely.
So I definitely would say that. Don't say this again. See, it's like that with me, because that's stupid. Like, you know, like I said, I've interacted with him, I known him. If you don't know who he is, like as has he podcasts and what his vibe is, then that's on you. You know,
Right.
he's, you know, like I said, he's a very honest person. Does he say the hard truth sometimes? Absolutely. But canceling someone to tell them, oh, you and your co-host and, you know, or two co-hosts, you can't run your pod anymore. You know, your pod won, 3 BMAs, but that's, out the window because there's this fake petition out there. And then I seen somebody challenged him to boxing match for charity. I'm like,
Who was that? Adam Liu?
no. No. Yeah.
That's so funny.
I almost did that for free, though, by the way. Fun
man.
fact. If people don't remember me and Adam Lou drama, we're good now.
I
but-
do remember that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're good now, but if you don't
Honestly,
remember, then.
So
yeah.
I guess there have been podcast wars that I missed out on.
Right.
I
To be fair, I wasn't running my pod at the time. It was more like the angry man yells at cloud type thing from my
Just
end.
personal
Yeah.
beef.
Yeah.
It was just personal.
There was a
beef.
lot going on Twitter. at
There
that
was a lot
time.
going on during that.
I was
like,
saying
final
nothing, but I was
stretch-
reading all of it.
final stretch of 2022. There was a lot of stuff going on like that in Boston.
okay.
I was like, and obviously I had exited that, and I was just like, all right, this is stupid. I'm not gonna be for him. I ended up making up with him. It's funny. I had seen him at a show. And, I just seen him at the corner of my eye. I'm like, all right, I'm not going to fight this kid at all. And if I do it in front of everybody, it's going to look bad on me. So he was turned around. I went, hey, Adam! Like that. And I was like, what's up, man? You know what I'm saying? Like that. Like,
bro.
just like, you know what I'm saying?
Just
Going to shake a
spooked
hand. We good. We good. Like, that's so that's how that ended. But as I've said, this guy was trying to box Charlie for charity. I'm like, if you really hate somebody, or first of all, two things. If you really hate somebody, you'd fight them for free. And secondly, why do you have to have a boxing match for charity? Why don't you just donate to that charity? Why does it have to be like the
true.
the like
That's clout chasing, honestly.
Yeah.
Someone was looking
Yeah.
for an opportunity.
that's what
Yeah.
I say, the whole spectrum of the second thing that I don't like.
It's like when Soulja Boy wanted to box Chris Brown.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
It's like I just don't like the clout chasing off somebody else to incite interactions or comments or something like that, because maybe your brand is dying, or maybe you haven't been popping recently. So that's why I'd say the second. The third one, honestly, I get how there's cliques in the city. Like, certain people really fuck with certain people more than another person. I get it. And I've seen it. It really is no slight on me. I'm willing to work with anybody. I'm willing to have anybody on. Is what it is. But I feel like we kind of got to get away. And this isn't like a clique as in like you're a collective. This is just like a clique as like, oh,
like a friend group.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All these people are here who are in the scene, I will say. Not like if you have a friend group, that's fine. But if like you're in the scene and all these people are here and like, you're not letting people in because you think, that group is better than they are. And it's like, well, it's like, but bro, just give people the shine.
Yeah.
Because who knows? Maybe you think they're good. Maybe you think that like they belong in this clique. But yeah, maybe you won't work with somebody because they're not in your clique. So I would get rid of that kind of mindset.
Yeah.
Where it's like, obviously to the outside eye, to the people who aren't from Massachusetts, they're going to think one artist or one platform is better than the other, because that's how music in the industry works. But if you see it like we see it, let's just work. You know what I'm saying? Because there's plenty of artists I'd like to see, Jeff Porter, Dave Ryan, Nick Rose work with that they haven't yet. And if it's that click thing that like maybe they aren't, I would like that wall to break, because I know beautiful music can be made if that wall is broken down. So that's probably the three things I'd have to get rid of. But this is actually a good transition into what I'm going to ask you next. Firstly, because I'm going to ask you a top three, but firstly, what is your favorite interview you guys have done so far?
Ooh,
that is hard.
you go first.
You don't have to rank them. I just want like.
Well, I guess I have a hard time picking favorites of anything, because I usually have favorites of things for different reasons. Like, we've had fun on certain podcasts that didn't really get to the meat of the subject, and we just kind of goofed. Like, I think maybe it was our third Casso episode in the pandemic, where we talked about like, go check this out. I believe we're on Zoom. Casso talks about how he transported through time as he was trying to drive to the park that's under the Zakim Bridge. And he was saying that he knew exactly where he was, and then all of a sudden he was in Cambridge or something, or like Somerville, and he was just like, he had no idea what happened, and he thinks he was time warped by some MIT lab that had been working on time travel. And I don't want to say that it definitely happened, but I believe him. Yeah. So it's
not out of the realm of possibility. I'll say that.
That was a fun podcast. We also posited that Britney Spears is actually the John Benet Ramsey, and the original Britney Spears died. So this is a version of the Avril Lavigne is not the same person myth, but it's actually saying that John Benet Ramsey grew up and is who we now know as Britney Spears. Kind of makes sense, right, guys? Sound off in the comments. Yeah. But that was probably the funnest episode.
Holy shit.
I think
that was a fun one.
Probably, like, I would say our best content episode was probably talking to Justin Clancy, because shout out Justin Clancy. Shout out JC, baby. His was great, and I feel like maybe I stole this one from Jack. That maybe we're going to pick Justin's too, because I just feel like his journey is like very unique and genuine, and he's getting there, and it's happening for him. And hearing his story, because he was talking about, at the time, it was his transition from the Color Blue material. And I just feel like he was talking about how, like, I mean, go watch that podcast. He says that the Color Blue was bullshit.
Yeah,
like,
I remember that vividly, actually. I remember you posted that
So
clip.
that one was really cool. We got to talk about the artist, the music, and why all that came to be. And that was, not saying not every interview does that, but I just like that one particularly because it was authentic. So as authentic as it can be.
That was a good one.
That's a great couple of picks.
That was a good one. I'll say, are you familiar with Spose?
The guy from Maine?
From Maine, yeah.
Yeah. No, well, I'm only familiar with him through you.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, so I've been listening to him for a long time. So I've been a fan of him for like 10 years when we got him on the podcast.
That's awesome.
So I knew so much about him.
That's
so
awesome.
That one was so fun for me. Because
awesome.
I was able to like tell him things that he forgot about himself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was fun. That was a good time. And he was like super just engaging. He told us a lot like about his journey with he got signed to a label after I'm Awesome blew up in 2010, and then he got dropped from the label after he didn't come with the follow-up single, and he gave just, like a lot of insight about being on a major label and what he learned from it and stuff.
Cool.
So Yeah, Spose was awesome, and then Corey Dillon from the
Oh, hell
Patriots.
yeah.
That was
Anytime you can get a guy you grew up, obviously listening to, but watching like
dude.
that.
I used to
that's
play
awesome.
as him in Madden
Hell
2003, the mini camp when he was on the Bengals.
Yeah.
and like being able to tell him that was pretty cool. So
It's so crazy to
Yeah.
see highlight footage and now in hindsight be like, we talked to that guy.
Yeah.
It's so crazy.
Oh,
yeah.
definitely.
yeah, and that was cool.
I'm actually gonna bring up a good point later on because I did have a Boston athlete follow me. He did unfortunately just unfollow. I just found out.
Oh, why did he
Oh,
unfollow?
bro,
I hate when
wait,
people
name
do
him
that.
right now. Let's dox this guy. What's going on?
It's the mid-range god,
Brandon Bat, he followed you? That's your
we
guy.
because we had gas.
I
pass
know,
and
that's your
Mastercard,
guy.
Yeah, I don't know if because I just found out he did. We still follow him because I'm gonna bring this point up later, but because it's Brandon Bass, that's like the 2010s. That Celtics, I was like, that's who I love.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if he figured out what gas pass and Mastercard meant and he felt slighted.
Because it meant mediocre, right?
Yeah, it's because Nick Rose has a hidden freestyle according to Mark Sanchez. Mark Sanchez. I'm not talking about
Butt
the Jets.
fumble.
Yeah, exactly. Mike Sanchez, that he's like, oh, it's pretty decent like Bass. Because, that's what he was. He wasn't like a star.
Yeah, he was
but
decent.
he wasn't terrible.
He was decent. He was solid.
So I don't know if he felt slighted by that, but I was like, damn it. But anyways, we move on and stuff like that. I'm still going to use gas. I'm
Okay.
actually going to ask you gas pass and Mastercard later
when
on.
he followed you, did you DM him and say, come on the podcast?
Yeah.
Okay.
He didn't open it, but I am going to bring that segment back because I've noticed over the last couple of episodes I haven't, but I will later. We'll get to that point.
I'm excited. I love games.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, love that.
However, those are both excellent answers, and like I said, with it's not spouse, right? Because I don't know why I say it
Spose.
like Spose. Okay.
Spose.
Literally the biggest rapper to ever come out of Maine.
Right, exactly. I
Which
can't
is
name
crazy.
another rapper out
Yeah.
of me. But that goes back to
glad.
my point earlier about how you guys do a good job at highlighting artists because people are paying attention to those stories. As a case, in my sense, with Spose, I
Yeah.
found out he even existed because I wouldn't even know.
Most of the platforms around here just cover like the Boston area, and I like to tap into northern New England and see what the hell's going on up there because sometimes I just wonder what those people are doing.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So obviously you gave me your favorite couple of interviews. Now, like I said, I was gonna ask you a top 3, and this is no hate to anybody else. It's just a personal opinion of y'all. Who are your top 3 favorite Massachusetts artists? Whoever wants to start.
God, that's so hard.
Yeah, well, this is the other thing. Yeah, like I have that rotates a lot.
Yeah.
If you had to, but the
So,
one in your head right now.
Like
now,
in this moment.
In this moment, yeah.
it would probably go Hefe Replay, Isha, and I Millie's because I've been running that on the radar back.
That's a great 3. That's a
Wow.
fucking great 3.
This is a hard question. You've seen how long the playlist is.
Right,
I don't know.
no, exactly. That's why I kind of asked it because it's like, all right, you have all that long playlist. I'm sure that there's a couple of artists that stand out more than others.
Of course.
I'm gonna change my 3 in 10 minutes. By the way.
Yeah. So if I get to that segment 4, change it.
Let me see.
Yeah.
In Massachusetts, I will say, I gotta go with Millie's. I do listen to a lot of Millie's. God, I'm gonna make like a generic ass list. I want to say Cousin Stiz because the singles he's been dropping. He just dropped an album. Like I don't know. I'm getting back into him now.
You promised you weren't gonna talk about Cousin Stiz so much.
I didn't say
only said
that.
it twice.
You said it beforehand.
You said it
no.
twice.
Now let me pick an outlier on this last one. Obviously, my guys Justin and Casso. Like I'm not gonna mention them. That goes
Right.
without saying.
That's
I'll
like they're
give
in
it to
their other
someone else.
I
category.
felt
Right.
like that was a cop out as well. Yeah, I didn't want to.
Let's see. I would say.
That's why I asked the tough.
People are gonna get more and more.
This is
offended.
tough.
I like
This
the
is
thinking
tough.
process. Like watching
I'm gonna
it
go
live.
with. Wow, this is hard. This is really hard. I'm trying to
We're
think.
gonna
like,
walk if you don't pick one.
Yeah,
This is
yeah, yeah.
crazy.
No, I got it. I got it. Let me go with. I want to say like Latrell James, but that's everyone knows him. Like I
wrong
want to
with that?
pick someone
Wait,
random.
wait,
I
it's
want to
alright
pick
if
someone
everybody
random.
knows them. It's
I know.
like it's just what are you bumping? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
favorite.
that is what I'm bumping lately. Yeah,
You're trying to be hipster, but you're
I'm
going
trying
for
to be
deep cuts.
hipster.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
trying to
like,
be so
oh,
hipster.
I know these underground
Yeah,
guys more than you do.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. It's a lot less insightful now that it's taking 20 minutes. So
Yeah.
give us,
Yeah.
now
All
give
right.
us 5.
All right, that's it.
All right, those are great. Those are
Latrell
obviously
James.
yeah. If
Shout
it
out
changed,
to and Latrell James' sisters, Lila and Tori Tori. I've been listening to them a lot.
yeah.
too.
Tori's
Yes.
Latrell's sister.
Yes.
No shit. Oh, I did not know that. I learned something.
Yeah,
every
I
day.
think we talked about this on the podcast, but Lila won the Chamber when we were there. That was fun.
Yep.
There you go.
Shout out the Chamber.
Absolutely.
That was awesome.
And actually, I think by the time this episode comes out, they will be doing their last ever of the year, and it's actually going to be a big one. So make sure y'all go to that. I think
Is that the one in late September?
Yes.
Okay.
I think
yeah.
Last of the year.
I've never been to one. I think I really got to pop out to one. That's always been my problem.
It's
with
a great
shows.
time.
It's
We've been to
sick.
one.
I
We
just
had a
have
great
to
time.
go. Like it's just there's nothing stopping me. It's just go.
Yeah.
But
Any,
anyways.
any listeners that don't know what this is, the artists basically bet on themselves, so you can't be trash. You have to go
Yes, you
with the
cannot
bars, and you put money down on yourself, and the winner gets the money. I don't know if second place gets anything,
It's
right?
$5,000.
Sometimes I think it was
no,
like
the
1,000.
winner at the one in September is 5K.
Oh, this one is. Oh, they've already been collecting for it.
It's
Okay.
confirmed
Wow.
5K.
Dang.
Because obviously Mike Scarfo has interviewed them a couple times. They've had their, I'm not sure what the extent of it was, but he's met them. Those are a couple of guys I would like to have on the pod as well, because what they're doing is absolutely revolutionary. I've never seen anything like that.
Iron
anyways.
sharpens iron. Shout out.
Exactly.
Yeah, it is a pretty great event.
Before I get to a question about Owen, obviously, you guys took a little hiatus from podding. Was there any main reason for that? Was it just maybe you were too busy to pod, something like that? Because obviously, you've
Mostly
heard
too
me.
busy.
Yeah,
It was. It got
like
difficult.
I took 18 months off.
Yeah,
From
that's
end of
about what we
2021
took
till last
also.
till 23. Yeah.
The weekly cadence was tough. Finding time to record, edit, and post that frequently became like a full-time thing. Like it was like it ended up being like I basically didn't have like any free nights, because then you'd have like other obligations and stuff.
Right.
So it just got very very cluttered, and then we started falling behind on certain things. If you go back and look, there might be some weeks that we're not as consistent, but we'd rather have regrouped like we did and then come back with right now it's a bi-weekly cadence, so that's a little easier, more manageable.
Perfect. I'm the same way. I'm every other Wednesday.
Yeah,
Mike's
I think
every 10 days or something like that. So.
yeah, it gives more time for things to happen too. Sometimes weekly. You know.
Definitely.
But yeah, we both just kind of had a lot going on, and we didn't have like a dedicated place yet. So now we're recording out of Rosendale, so it's a little more central, I think, for
like that.
people
Hell
both
yeah.
North and South Shore and in the city. So I'm trying to make that a little easier. We'll cut that.
Yeah.
Well-
Shout out to Champagne and Fierce, by the way.
Yeah.
But yes, so that's awesome though, because as I've said, the scene needs y'all. Because in that hiatus, we still were staying relevant with all the content from all the Boston sports team. You're still reposting any music videos or any songs. Obviously, get the playlist up. But it's people like to hear from y'all. You know what I'm saying? They like to hear, who are you interviewing? How do you go about it? I think a good one y'all did before y'all took the break was the Seawells one, where you just came over. I know you said you'd watch the Celtics at, I think it was in Hingham, right?
Yeah.
Hingham?
That
Yeah,
was
so-
opening night of what,
Last year, I think it was.
2022? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, last season.
Yeah, last season. So that was cool, because obviously, as I've said before a million times on previous episodes, I know a thing or two about hiatuses. It is just getting busy, and then to the people that drop weekly, I honestly salute you, because that's like wow.
Yeah,
That's
that's
like
impressive.
I did, because that's what we did to start, and it was kind of like, yeah, you got to meet deadlines and you stress yourself out, but if you give yourselves that bi-weekly drop. You can plan shit out.
Yeah.
You can have just a smooth rest of the week heading into the next one. So, as of course, I salute y'all. The whole Massachusetts scene is glad y'all back. I'm glad y'all back.
Appreciate that.
But now to get into some more fun things. Owen, I've heard you work at Fenway.
I do, yeah.
You do. I heard you slanging some Fenway Franks. Actually,
Some glizzies.
TJ Patiglio actually saw you at a game.
Yes, I did.
told
Oh
me
my
that.
god, I don't think I told you about this
Yeah.
yet, but yeah, I was selling to somebody, and he was like the person passing. And,
Yeah.
yeah, that was so funny.
And I got to shout him out because I actually had told him y'all were coming on. He was excited. So shout out to my guy.
He's such a nice dude. I love
The
that
best.
guy. I've
He's the
never met
best.
him before,
Yeah.
Oh,
but
you gotta
I've
meet him.
He
communicated.
shows a
Yeah,
lot of
he'd
love
love
on
to meet
social
you.
He
media,
does.
yeah.
If you're ever willing to have him on the show when he's back in town, please do.
Yeah, because he's in, what, South Carolina?
right now. Yep.
Yeah.
If he wants to send in a resume, we have like a 3-step interview process.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But my third ever episode was called Weirdest Work Story, and in the past, a lot of people have told some weird shit. I personally have told some weird shit. That actually, it's funny. Someone came up to me at Faneuil Hall and noticed. He's like, "That story took place here." I'm like, "Yeah." So it's like, "That's cool." So I'm curious to know, working in the most legendary ballpark in America, what's the weirdest thing that's happened to you, whether it's with a customer or just in general?
I mean, I've had a couple. There's just like one thing that's interesting is like when you're somebody that's we're kind of like not real to the fans.
Oh,
So
yeah.
like people have like spanked me and stuff. Like usually it's older women.
Damn. I gotta charge him a fee for that.
Yeah.
You turn around like, hey, that's $10.
What kind
You
of
know what I'm
people
saying?
are we talking about?
Yeah.
Usually like moms, like older women will do it. Yeah.
That's all right.
Y'all
I've
hiring,
like
by the way?
turned around and been like, "What's going on?" Or they'll be like pretending to sometimes actually try to tickle me. I'm like, "Get out of here! I'm gonna drop
Alright,
this."
tickling's a little weird. Spanking,
Well, yeah. If
a
I'm
little
like
weird.
carrying stuff above my head, like that.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
that could be
okay, that's fucked
terrible.
up.
Yeah.
Spanking, I can kind of understand, and maybe I'm
It's a little goofy, yeah,
I'm a
I
little
get
bit
it.
of a gooner where I'm like, yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Roles reversed, and I don't know.
Come on,
I
yeah,
just
exactly.
say, listen up to
Exactly.
it,
It's like, hey, let's chill out. Depends on who you spank.
Look, I'm not calling on anyone today,
Right. Yeah.
but someday maybe. So watch it. But I guess, and this is something you can find on the internet. This happened this season. People always are like, "Oh, have you ever been hit by a foul ball?" Not exactly, but one time a foul ball, I felt it on my ear. Another
You
time,
got trumped.
yeah, it was just like,
oh shit.
and then another time this season, you remember when the bat went over the net?
Yeah.
That almost hit me. I'm in that video.
Oh
so
my gosh.
I was like in the
Hey,
seat.
baseball players, hold on to your bats.
Seriously.
That's
Yeah,
crazy.
that bat didn't even break. He just let go of it.
That's
That was
wild.
wild.
I
yeah.
don't get how if you're
Use more
trained
pine
to
tar.
hold a bat,
Yeah.
you let it fly off. Like that's crazy.
You could take someone's life.
Yeah, literally.
I think he was annoyed with himself and he thought he was tossing it aside or something, but he just like it kept going.
Oh, wow.
But
Oh,
still,
shit.
it's like I mean, also it went over the net. There was still
That's
net
a
there.
tall
and it-
net.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was gonna say
Yeah.
they made that shit bigger.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, the craziest thing is, you remember when like that lady like almost died or
Yeah.
something? She got hit really bad.
Yeah.
The next day or like 2 days later, it happened again. And they just, it was like, didn't make the news that time. And then they just put up more nets and that was it. And they didn't say
Wow.
anything the second time because they were like, we don't want people to think Fenway's dangerous. I imagine that was the PR stunt, but
Right, yeah.
it did happen a second time very quietly. But I mean, it's safe now, I
Right, of
promise.
course.
But I did almost get hit by a bat. It was interesting. And you can look it up. It's on Reddit, the video. And I dropped my pizza box. So I just want to get ahead of this right now. If you guys are going to try to make fun of me for dropping the pizza box, what would you do? All right?
Exactly.
Think about it.
Yeah. I don't know how heavy a bat is, but like you said, that shit could kill you. Like,
Yeah.
what
I
you're just
also-
not going to react?
Also, they put that net there for balls. Why are guys throwing bats? Like,
right.
this is
To
crazy.
go over, it's like the most unlikely thing. And
have to have,
I
like-
also had no idea what was happening because my back was to it.
Yeah.
So I just see the people like directly next to me panicking.
yeah.
So I was like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah,
and
so
I
you
just
just
like,
reacted right,
yeah, it's crazy. But anyways, yeah, I'm sure I'll think of another story. But that was, I mean, there's always like unruly people, people
yeah,
just
of course.
being like crazy.
Like that's like for this one, that's kind of like the cop out thing because like
Yeah.
I feel like I've dealt with unruly people. And I work in a far more tame environment than you because like I said, you're dealing with all those drunk idiots at a baseball game.
Yeah.
They're gonna be riled up.
And you get your like one-liners and stuff, so you know how to respond to a lot of it.
Yeah.
The craziest it ever gets, and Jack posted about this recently, is the concerts when we're selling retail. We get to sell the T-shirts and stuff. So,
'Cause I was just at Green Day.
oh, were you?
Hell yeah.
I was at the home plate store.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
we're
right.
selling-
That's what's up.
I was at Blink,
I got
that's
to
where I
skip
got
the
this.
line at Noah Khan
Yeah.
because Owen was working.
Yeah,
so I
I
just
got- if
walked
you-
up
you
and
know-
grabbed my bag of merch.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
If you're in the circle, you might
You gonna
get
be
some
working
merch out
Post
for
Malone?
you. Yes.
All right, I'll see
I
you
actually I was supposed to be on vacation that day, but I pushed my flight a day so I could work it because
yeah.
it'll basically pay
see you there.
for some amenities on the trip.
Hell yeah.
So
Hell yeah.
might as well.
Because I will say Green Day, that was my first concert at Fenway, and it was my
Yeah.
first, because Green Day's my all-time favorite band. That was my first time seeing them.
Oh really?
What a fucking night. That's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, they had the hits.
oh my God, because they played, it was 30 years of Dookie and 20 years of American Idiot. So they ran through all those.
The whole albums,
both,
right?
Both those albums. And at the end, they played Good Riddance. And that was just
That's
like,
awesome.
like, I felt like I was levitating. I was
my
like,
God.
Yeah,
yeah.
You know what I'm
dude.
saying?
I
Lost
went
my
to
voice.
Good
Noah
Riddance is too
Khan.
much.
That was my first Fenway concert, and I was yeah.
Oh wow.
I don't go to like huge concerts, like
Yeah, I don't
stadium
either.
shows.
Like-
I'm like a local show,
Right, exactly.
Middle
That's my
East
thing,
like
yeah.
type of guy. So I don't go to shows like
Most
that
I'll
usually.
do is the House of Blues. But again, that's
Yeah,
only-
exactly. That's like
but
the biggest one I'll go
right,
to
but that's
usually.
again really only if someone local's coming. I will
Right.
say.
Oh, actually, how about this? This is gonna date the episode,
Okay.
but does anyone want to go to Creed tomorrow at the Xfinity Center?
I can't.
I also don't like it, but
I can't
Creed
either,
with the
yeah.
boys.
I also know one Creed,
Creed with
song.
the
so-
boys, yeah.
You actually know more Creed than you think. I thought I only knew
Yeah?
one Creed song.
All right.
Turns out I know a lot of
You
it.
know what dad band I really want to see? Nickelback.
No.
Is that a dad
Mr.
band?
Smith
It's
would be so
100%
mad
a
right
dad
now.
band.
That's
Yeah.
my dad's old then, because that's after his time.
No, yeah, no.
yeah,
I mean, my
it's a dad band
dad's
in
in his 60s too, but he
Yeah.
still loved, like, when I was growing up in the 2000s, he loved that shit.
Oh, dude,
yeah.
driving in the car like
Yeah.
when we were kids, that's what parents
No,
played.
my
Look
dad.
at
No,
this photograph!
my dad only played 70s and
Sixth grade.
80s. He did not
Yeah.
go to 90s. He didn't go anything past 80s.
I fucking love
Yeah.
Nickelback. Hell yeah. But Creed is a good one. So, obviously, as we said, we're going to date this episode a little bit. By the time this drops, the Celtics will roughly be a month out from defending Banner 18.
God, already.
Already, imagine that. It blew by like that.
I know.
Time flies when you're having fun.
Yep.
That whole run, I can tell you right now, oh, thank God, like, they just did it. Because, like I said, we've been waiting 16 years for this to happen.
Right.
And it finally did.
But now they have to do it again.
Well,
Let's go.
that's why I'm curious. Do you think we repeat this
Oh,
shit?
yeah, absolutely.
Do you think... Exactly. There you know what I'm saying? Do we
Repeat 617.
Hell yeah. So you think it's a resounding repeat?
Yeah.
Because I will say, we are far and beyond the best team in the East.
Yeah.
Easy.
Everyone stays healthy. It's a repeat. That's the only thing.
The Sixers added Paul George. Ooh.
No, nobody's scared of Paul
Knicks,
George.
The Knicks assembled the Vanderbilt Knicks.
This is in
or the Villanova
2013.
Knicks,
Nobody's
excuse
scared
me.
of Paul George.
Ooh,
That's crazy.
Oh my God, the Villanova Knicks. I can't even remember what college it is. Paul George. Ooh, it's like shut up. Like our team, we lost Svi
Paul
Mikhailuk.
George. That's
Shout out my
like
guy.
when the Knicks got like Derrick Rose or
Yeah.
like Jason Kidd,
Yeah,
and they thought they were
exactly.
getting something. It's like the
They
guy's
had Pablo
35 years old.
Prigioni as their backup. They're like, oh, he's the oldest center experience going to be the best. They had Jason Kidd at 40 years old.
Yeah,
Remember that?
unbelievable.
Yeah. But it's like, oh, yeah. So, I mean, because really, even in the West, every team stayed the same.
Yeah.
Pretty much. There was no
Yeah.
big, like, free agent shift.
No, we
Or
should. If
trade.
everyone stays healthy, we should win it
Yes.
all again. I go back to 2009 when we won the championship. Then we go. The best that Celtics team ever wasn't 2008. It was the start of the 08-09 season.
Yeah.
We started out 27-2. We're like, we're gonna win it again easily, and then KG gets hurt. So only injuries
Yeah.
will stop us from winning again. That's what I'll say.
Knocking on wood. No one's
Yeah.
knocking that door. I'm knocking on wood because I don't need a repeat of that. Because that was horrible. But
But that's what I think of because everyone's like, oh, we're gonna repeat. That's
Oh,
what
yeah,
everyone was saying in
definitely.
08 too,
But
and then
I
KG
think
got hurt.
in today's game, I think we're in a better position to repeat. Obviously, Jalen's coming in fired up, missed the Olympics. He's like, all right, I'm going to prove y'all wrong. So we put in those workouts.
I will say
he was underwater, lifting
I
dumbbells
will
and dribbling.
say,
It's like,
everyone, Steve Kerr, just the NBA in general has fucked up when it comes to handling the success of the Celtics because nobody's done anything but light more fire under
right,
them.
exactly.
Like that.
Imagine they won the finals. They're still trying to prove people wrong. That's crazy.
I feel like they're just as motivated now as they were
Easily.
last
Because
offseason.
that's the good thing about winning the finals. You get the taste. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? They got that fight. They're like,
But
all
now
right.
they get,
Yeah,
they're both
exactly.
getting slighted in different ways.
Yeah, exactly. With
JT
Tatum
and
not
J-
playing in the
Tatum
Olympics.
not playing in the
Jalen got
Olympics. It's like
blackballed,
it's like all right, we didn't prove enough. Watch
Bet.
us shit on you again.
Well, and this is my prediction. One of them is going to be in MVP talks, like seriously.
Yeah.
Where it comes down to like.
My prediction is when we play the Warriors this year, we beat them by 60.
Oh yeah, hell yeah, because they suck this shit.
They're gonna be trash.
Yeah, they're gonna be horrible. Well, I actually will say, and this came up on Twitter, how they do in the first 10 games. Their schedule's so fucking easy.
Yeah.
I think at most they should lose because the team they are is one game. Like
In the first 10?
In the first 10, but obviously 10-0. I really think they're gonna start 10-0.
Yeah.
Clip it.
Exactly. Clip that.
I
Remember
believe
that.
it.
Because because roughly by the time this episode will be out, will be about September 25th ish, and they start October 22nd. So yeah, get your predictions in right now.
Yes.
But another hot topic, which is unfortunately this came out roughly about a month after they won, they're going to be sold,
yeah.
and this. I don't know how
Jeff
to feel
Bezos.
about it. I was going to say, so do you really think Bezos is going to buy him? Do you think
I don't
John
think
Henry
so.
is Fenway Sports going to buy him? Who had to you as a pick? Because that was a good thing with Wick Grosbeck was he actually cared about.
Well, that's the thing.
The
I
Boston
don't know that we're
community.
gonna get that again. Wick Grosbeck was a Celtics fan.
Yeah.
Like he was actually a fan.
Yeah.
Jeff Bezos, I would assume, does not know anything about basketball.
Maybe he
So
does.
maybe he
that's
does.
because the NBA's coming Amazon, so maybe he's getting into it. So
Maybe.
we'll see.
He probably just keeps pushing money across the table. He's like, "Is this basketball?"
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I don't want Jeff Bezos. I think the John Henry thing's off the table, and obviously I'm not a fan of him.
No, absolutely.
I don't think any Red Sox fan is at this point.
No, hell no.
Is LeBron
So-
low-key doing it?
Who?
That
yeah.
would be that's why I don't want it to happen. I mean, obviously John Henry sucks, but it's like Do I really want the LeBron jokes of, oh, he's a minority owner in the Celtics, he owns y'all? It's like, shut up, dude. Just shut up. I'm not
Plus, I don't
to
trust him.
No, absolutely not.
He doesn't
Hell
like
no.
us.
No, right, exactly. There's such a well, that's the thing with Bezos. There's such a conflict of interest there too, because you already got the NBA on your platform. So what? You're gonna now own an NBA team? It's like, honestly, at this point, I really would like some like oil money guy to buy it.
Yeah,
because it's like then that's unlimited money. Then we can just sign whoever we want. With all the second, third apron, whatever the hell that is. But yeah, they're just gonna keep funneling money into the team like that. I as controversial that may sound, I would rather prefer that over like a John Henry, Jeff Bezos.
Yeah.
But ideally...
But I want them to care about the Celtics.
Right, exactly. Yeah. That is my
I want
main
them to
point.
have like a history of being a Celtics fan.
Yeah.
That would be nice. That's what Wick Grossbeck had.
Or at least show that you want to care.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because obviously if you're one of these oil money tycoon guys, you probably...
Because like John Henry right now, we're not convinced he cares about the Red Sox.
No,
like,
I don't think
he
cares about any of the teams he owns.
Who do you think is the richest Celtics fan?
The richest Celtics fan?
DM us, by the way. You're
if I
probably
had
listening.
to say, it probably is Wick. Because, I mean, what comes to mind is like, Mark Wahlberg, Matt Damon, Ben Affleck. Portnoy, right. Yeah, but I saw,
yeah, no, I don't
hear it growing off camera.
Yeah, we don't like, I don't like Portnoy either, but,
Listen, I'll say right now, fuck Dave Portnoy, all right? I just want to make it known. I don't like that guy at all.
Forget what the podcast was. All of the podcasts that are the homies here, we're coming together to attack Dave Portnoy. Right. I'm saying it right now.
But he is a rich guy.
Yeah. Yes, he is a rich motherfucker.
Pointing that out. But yeah,
and
fuck
unfortunately, he does like every, he does like all the Boston sports, which sucks. Is you're trying to have a normal conversation with somebody. It's like, Dave Portnoy likes how it's like we don't claim him. Oh no, we don't claim him.
If someone mentions Barstool Sports to me, I act like I don't know what it is, and it's the funniest thing ever. They're like, "What do you mean you've never heard of Barstool Sports?" I'm like, "No, I'm not familiar."
Honestly. I really should. Yeah. And another thing that will happen by the time this episode drops, the Pats are going to be back. You know what I'm saying? We're in a new era. It's the rebuild. Maybe these last couple of years were kind of the rebuild. Now it's full force. Max number of games we win this year.
Max number.
Yeah.
6.
Oh, okay. I like the confidence.
Yeah.
I say 4.
Okay.
I say 4. I like Joe Milton a lot.
Yeah.
I obviously like Drake May. I like the wide receivers we have. Obviously, I love Gerard Mayo. If you're a Patriots fan, you don't. Then go fuck yourself because he's awesome. Love that. I just want to see how it all plays out. I'm not expecting to make the playoffs. I'm prepared to, I'm not even prepared to be disappointed. I just know we're gonna suck. Okay, and it's like, okay, but we have 20 years of greatness to look back on. So is it really that big of a deal? Not really.
Yeah.
We have our hopeful next franchise QB. I ideally would like him to sit this year, learn the system, so he doesn't kind of get fucked over with not having good enough weapons, or and he gets blamed this, that, and the other thing. Because you are playing the long game with him. And then, let's say you get a top 3 draft pick next year, get him a wide receiver, or whoever's on the free agent market, get him that. I just think there's a good number of Pats fans that are going to immediately jump on Gerard Mayo. That are like, oh, it's not working, this, that, and it's like, we just started. This is year 1 of a rebuild. What do you want? Like, you know what I mean? I just feel like with those 20 years of greatness comes the fact that it's hard to accept they suck.
We had to take a turn.
We had to
sit on the sides. Yeah, it just is what it is.
It is,
Not surprising. No one wants to lose, but
the fucked up thing about that though is the Chiefs are doing the same thing, and they didn't get the level of hate that we got. And
what
I don't
like
like that.
What do you mean doing the same
Patriots
thing?
Because
they're the now new evil empire, I'll say. But they don't get seen as that. They're like, obviously this Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce stuff is absolutely annoying. I hate it.
A lot of people hate that, so they are getting a decent amount of hate.
But I still think Patrick Mahomes comes across as more human in the public eye than Tom Brady ever did.
Tom Brady's not very human at all, in my opinion.
I like that take a lot.
I would rather hang out with Drew Bledsoe than Tom Brady.
Yeah.
That's a great take.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's a very actually good point. Yeah.
No personality.
Is Tom Brady a square?
He might have a personality, but he doesn't show it.
No, absolutely.
You don't see it.
And you know what? I really am excited to see Tom Brady as a sports analyst.
Yeah, we'll
'Cause
see
he's
how
been
that
speaking-
goes.
He's been spitting some gems and shit like that. Because he's so unimpressed with the game now.
I know.
I know. I've seen that. He's like, he's
Yeah.
not really in his cunty old guy era, but like, you know what I mean?
He's
like,
getting there.
he just like, he doesn't like it. Like, he just like, it's like, it sucks. It's like,
Oh yeah, he
that's
said
how-
the product sucks.
Right,
now.
exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the 7-time Super Bowl champion talking right there. So
Yeah.
you better fucking listen. But as I said earlier, I haven't been doing gas, bass, or massacas recently. But obviously with y'all,
That is crazy.
because there's one thing that Celtics fans love are the random role players that we've had.
Yes.
If you were there in the 2010 rebuild years, or even sometimes in the early 2000s.
Early 2000s is where I started.
Exactly. You just remember these guys. You love them a lot. So for Gas, Bass, and Cast this week, obviously named after a beloved Celtics role player,
Yeah.
I'm going to give y'all, I just want to make how many names I have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 6.
Yeah.
In your personal opinion, how you feel about them, are they Gas, Bass, or Mass and Cast?
Okay.
And I'm going to start off with a guy who actually has been making noise, which is in 2024, I would have never expected this. Gershon Yabusele,
Yabusele?
the newest posterizer of LeBron and member of the Sixers. Did you think, because he was kind of the vibes guy, to you, is he a Gas, Bass, or Mass and Cast?
I mean, I'll give him Bass because obviously he wasn't good enough to stay in the NBA, but he's playing very well in France right now.
No, he got back. He's on the Sixers now.
Like officially
Yeah.
made the roster.
1 year,
All
$2
right.
million.
So, but with the Celtics, he was,
But
mediocre.
but I feel like if he didn't posterize LeBron, he wouldn't have gone on the Sixers.
Yeah, I don't know. I will say the one time I ever sat courtside at a Celtics game was a preseason game, and it was when he was on the team, and he was right in front of me at one point in the corner, and you know how he used to do the dab?
Yeah.
And I just yelled at him. I was like, Yabu! I was like, I want to see a dab tonight, and he laughed. So I was like, I like this guy.
That's all. I think we were at that. I think I was there.
Were you?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure on my old phone somewhere I like took a picture of you because I was in
Really?
like a higher up seat. Yeah,
Yes, you were. That's
it was with
right.
Jen, yeah.
You were in a different seat. I remember that.
that
Yep.
was funny. But yeah, it's funny. I actually don't. I'm exposed. Myself
Owen's not
here.
much of a sports guy.
Not huge. Like no opinions. Like I wouldn't have any information.
all right,
I'll defer to Jack. Yeah, I'll defer to Jack. on-
Jack.
I'm giving him Bass just because, overall his career hasn't been exceptional, but he's worked his way back. He's a
drafted.
guy who could get into the gas category
Right,
within the next couple of
exactly,
years. We'll
yeah.
see what happens.
And to go back to, a preseason training camp type story that I have, a little kind of like that. I was at Pat's camp one year, and before James White became this big thing, my friend was like, yo, yell Sweet Feet to him. He's going to cheese his
He's gonna
face off. I was like,
cheese.
Sweet Feet! And he had the biggest smile on his face because that was the year he first got drafted, and a lot of Pats fans didn't know who he was, but my boys are big college football fans.
Yeah.
So they know those little tidbits
Wisconsin,
about play.
right?
Right, exactly. Shout out Monty Ball, also former Wisconsin running back. So they know those little tidbits about players. He's like, yo, Sweet Feet. And I did. He like cheese. So I have a picture of that somewhere, but I thought that was cool.
That is cool.
But for the next guy, and this is one of my beloved all-time Celtics role players. I
Yeah.
talk about this guy so highly. The White Bill Russell, Greg Steensma.
You know why he's the White Bill Russell? Tommy Heinsohn
Yes,
said that.
exactly.
Yeah. That's one of the funniest things Tommy Heinsohn ever said.
Easy. I still remember. Are you kidding me?
He said, I haven't seen a guy block shots like this since Bill Russell. Because the way he blocked a couple shots and then caught them, instead of just blocking it out of bounds, like that's the old school way. You block it and then you catch it so you get a possession. You don't just, it's not just out of bounds. So that was hilarious. And Greg Steensma, that 2012 playoff run where we went to Game 7 with the Heat, he was great. Remember on the bench, the guys on the bench would do this thing? Remember that?
I remember Ryan Hollins doing
Ryan
that
Hollins,
specifically,
yes,
yeah.
and Keon Dooling and all those guys.
Yeah.
I loved that team.
I love that team too.
Like that
I've
was
actually-
that's
I have
actually one of my favorite Celtics teams.
Yeah.
So I'm going gas on that one.
Hell yeah.
I love Greg Stevens.
Hell yeah. I mean, I love Greg Steensma too. I've been looking for his jersey because I'm a big.
Oh, that would be fire.
I'm a big
Just get it
obscure-
customized.
No, right. I
Yeah.
thought about it. But you don't want to know what's funny? I was out at the bar watching Game 5 of the finals. Some dude pulled up in a James Young jersey. I was
That's crazy. That's
like,
crazy.
I'm a Kentucky fan, so that made me happy.
You know what I just got customized the other day just because they didn't have it, so I got it customized. Jordan Crawford Celtics jersey. because I had a tweet about Jordan Crawford.
I remember that.
Yeah, and it blew
Meat
up.
Sox Jordan Crawford, baby.
Yeah, and it blew up, and I was like, wow, I didn't know this many people love Jordan Crawford. So I just,
hell yeah! If
I
you
went
don't
and
love
got his
Jordan
customized
Crawford,
Jordan.
Well, you know who I just got customized? Svi Mikhailuk, and he just left the team.
Wow.
Yeah, it's got the finals patch on it.
That's
though.
awesome.
Hell yeah. And it's funny you actually bring up Jordan Crawford because 2 days ago I was at the Big Three. And he was playing in the All-Star game. I love that shit.
And he was the MVP last year, I believe. Yeah.
And I might have been this year. I'm not too sure. I don't remember correctly because obviously all the eyes went to the championship game. But in the championship game, a former Celtic, Gerald Green, went off. You know, me and my friends were saying they took him off the court. They didn't know what to do. That team that's named after the herd of ants. They didn't know what him to do. It's like Bivovak. I can't even say the name. I'm not even gonna try. Forget about it. Just know their logo has 3 ants in it.
All right.
And he was going off, and like that's what it's like. Gerald Green's going off in the Garden Championship game. I was in my seat. I was like, keep going, Gerald, keep going. So, gas, bash, and mass and cash, Gerald Green.
I'm going gas for Gerald Green.
I have to agree with you there.
His first stint with the Celtics, like young Gerald Green when he won the dunk contest. That was a dark time for the Celtics, and he was like a little bright spot. It was like, maybe this guy could be something, you know? Paul Pierce got injured for like 3 months, and it's like, all right, Gerald Green's time to step up. That was fun. And then we got him later in his career.
Yes, we did.
In the Brad Stevens era, and he got a clover in his hair.
Yep, remember that? Yep, absolutely.
So, you know, he's a Celtics legend in my eyes.
I would absolutely say that, too, because, I mean, when you look at him, the first thing you think of is Celtics.
Yeah.
You know, you think of him blowing out a candle on the cupcake in the dunk contest. Yeah. That was one of the most iconic dunks I've ever seen in my life.
One of only 2 Celtics to win the dunk contest. That's right. Him and D. Brown.
Yes, sir.
Right? So.
That's right. So, yeah, absolutely. I do agree with you, gas, for Gerald Green. Shout out to Gerald Green, man. One of my favorites.
Big shout out.
Another one of my favorites, and he was my favorite before he got onto the Celtics. This is just because I just love this style of play. The Brazilian blur, Leandro Barbosa.
Wow.
Yes, sir.
That's a throwback.
Yes, sir. Are you kidding me? That's one of my favorite players ever. At least favorite point guards.
So when he was with Phoenix, he was like 6th man of the year.
Yeah, he was unbelievable in Phoenix. Yeah.
In Boston, not great, right?
He was okay.
Yeah.
He was a good bench piece.
How long was he here? Like a few months?
He was here for I think it was like a year and a half.
Okay.
It was a full basketball calendar year.
All right.
And it's funny, he went off in a game against the Big Three Heat, and I had tweeted like his name in all caps. I was like, Leandro Barbosa. Yeah. He found the tweet and he captured it. And he was like, yeah, buddy.
That's awesome.
Yeah, this was after the game, but yeah.
I felt like he didn't get consistent minutes with the Celtics though, because that lineup had a lot of talent.
Yeah, but when he did, he delivered.
Yeah.
Easy.
I'm gonna go Bass for him.
Okay.
I'll go Bass for him.
I'm gonna disagree. That's a gas
fine.
player right there.
All
you know
right.
what I'm saying? They call him.
I believe he was gas with Phoenix, with Boston.
Yeah.
I think he was Bass.
But yeah, all right, that's fair enough. All right, and then there's the next one. And if you're a Celtics fan, you don't know who this is. You know, dig a little deeper into history. Shavlik Randolph.
I remember Shavlik Randolph.
Thank God, because I didn't want to give you a guy you didn't
played
remember.
At Duke.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
correct.
did not last very long in the NBA, but I remember when we got him, what was it, 6-7 years ago, 8 years ago? I don't know when it was.
I think it was
within the last decade.
Yeah, I want to say 2011, 2012.
Oh, was it that?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it wasn't like 2016, no.
So, okay. No, you know what it was? It was 2012, 13. It was KG and Pierce's last year.
Yes.
We got Shavlik Randolph. We picked him up.
With DJ Wilcox, remember him?
Yeah, we picked him up. Yeah, I remember Wilcox.
I have both of their autographs on a Celtics hat.
Yep, I remember that. Yeah. I'm going to go, Shavlik Randolph. I'm going to have to go Mass and Cass for that one.
That's fair. That's the first Mass and Cass of this, yeah. He grabbed some boards, I will say that.
He had himself a nice couple weeks. It's funny, there's like a few Celtics guys that I remember had a nice couple weeks, and then you never heard about them again.
This is a crazy one.
Remember Luigi Ditome?
Of course.
Gigi Ditome?
I used to see him in the North End all the time.
Really?
Are you kidding me? Hell yeah.
No way.
Hell
That's
yeah.
awesome. Who else?
Remember Chris Johnson?
Yes.
Yes.
He was hitting those corner
Not,
threes.
not a lot of people remember that. I picked him up in fantasy and won 3 games because of him in fantasy basketball. Yes.
We picked
Thank
him up
you.
like out of nowhere, and then he
we gave
played
him
half
like
a season.
Yeah,
and then,
we gave him 2 10-day contracts, and he freaking
got a
went off.
10-day contract, balled out. We gave him another
one,
one,
yeah.
balled out,
And then that was it.
and then that was it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, thank God you remember it, because
I remember.
Because when I
That was the 1 year we didn't make the playoffs.
yes,
The
correct.
1 year.
Yeah, because when it was going around on Twitter, it was like win it for them, and it's a picture of Heinsohn and Tommy.
Yeah.
Not Tommy, excuse me, Mike Gorman. I was posting all the role players. I posted Chris Johnson and Sheffield.
Yeah, that's why I
And people
posted
were like,
Jordan
who?
Crawford. I was
Exactly.
like, if you remember when this guy won Eastern Conference Player of the Week, then
Right,
this one's for you. Yeah.
It's a dangerous team. Okay, so this is another guy you had mentioned earlier, and it's the last guy of the Gas Bass and Mass and Class question. And a fun fact, I actually saw his game used jersey for sale at a card show one time. I almost bought it. It was $400, but it was $400 I was willing to spend. Keon Dooling. One of the
Wow.
best shots ever.
Gas. I'm going Gas.
Hell
Because
yeah.
when they had him on the Celtics, they called him the Reverend.
Yes.
Because he would get all the guys, he was good at giving speeches, I guess. Locker room speeches.
Yeah.
That was his thing. And then he hit some big shots. I remember my roommate in college at the time, also a big Celtics fan, was like not sold on him at all. He would, anytime I would say anything good about Keon Dooling, he's like, no, they need to trade him. That guy sucks. And then I remember he had one big game against the Heat in the playoffs, and I was like, I told you.
Yes, exactly.
This guy's not bad.
So there we go. That's
we
gas. 100%. And I will say this to the camera. You were not a Celtics fan if you remember that time that we had, we were rotating the roster constantly because we were trading so much. So we had, Jared Bayless, Tayshaun Prince, Brandon Wright.
That was the beginning of the rebuild. That was the beginning of the Brad
after we
Stevens.
traded Rondo.
Beginning of the Brad Stevens
Oh, my
era.
God. I mean, it made for great memories if you remember these role players, but it was not a good time to be a
Vitor
Celtics fan.
Favorani. Do you
Yes,
remember
sir.
him?
Of course
All right.
I do. Remember the nod, Kristen?
Dude, yes, I do.
Yes.
Vitor Favorani, I believe, played 2 months in the NBA.
Yeah.
Total
And
with the
he was on
Celtics.
the team
And
for
he
those
grabbed
2 months.
18 rebounds in a game once.
Yes, I remember that vividly.
It was unbelievable.
Hell yeah. See, that's why we're Celtics.
And then he got hurt, and then you never heard his name
Exactly.
again.
But that's why we're Celtics fans right there.
Yeah,
Rest in peace
that's-
to Fat
no.
Mello, too.
Rest in peace to Fab Melo.
Hell yeah. And so the last question I'm going to ask you about the Celtics, because I think it is very interesting. I had asked this on my story, and I forget who won the poll. I actually think it was 50-50. If you had to pick a team to win in the 7-game series, who would it be? The 08 championship team or this year's championship team?
I am going to go with the 08 team, and I know a lot of people disagree with that, but I don't
Why
know.
would you pick?
You mean these teams against each other?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I agree.
So I was like, oh, yeah, whatever you say.
basically, and people are gonna disagree with this, but there's a toughness factor. Kevin Garnett, and I love Kristaps Porzingis, but I'm taking KG
Oh, 100%.
in that matchup.
100%.
So
yeah.
I think it comes down to that, and Pierce is a killer, Ray Allen's a killer.
Rondo and Drew Holiday and Derek White's defense would be interesting. to see.
Brown and Tatum would definitely give them problems, but I really think. And I hate to say this, and I know this current Celtics team is going to get tougher.
Yes.
I know that next year we're going to see a different beast than we saw this past
Absolutely.
year.
I do agree with you there.
So we'll see how this all plays out. But as of right now, I think the 08 Celtics could punk this current Celtics team.
Punk 'em. Okay, yeah, because I've heard that people have said
and I think it would
it's
be
a close series.
I think it would be a close series, but I mean punk them as in intimidate them,
Okay. Yeah, that
mentally.
makes sense.
I feel like KG could break some of those guys.
Yeah,
That's
definitely.
just how I feel.
One of the best shit talkers in NBA
Yeah.
history. My favorite player of all time. You kidding me?
And Celtics are some dogs, though, this current team, and I feel like they're going to get tougher and tougher, and the more people talk shit about them, the more they're going to fight back, and you're going to see that toughness grow. But right now, that 08 team, those guys were all 30 years old, right? I mean,
At least.
the
Around
core,
there, yeah.
the core,
right.
the big three were 30.
We did have a young Rondo, but that was
right, but the big
youngest
three
guy.
were 30 years old. So this Celtics team, the best players are 26, 27. So I think just because of the experience gap and the toughness, which I think they're going to develop more as they go on. Which nobody comes into the league Mr. Tough Guy.
absolutely.
You got to
You
get
gotta
pushed
develop,
around.
right.
Michael Jordan had to get beat up by the Celtics before he got in the weight room and finally
Hell
got
yeah.
tough. So it happens.
Right.
But yeah, right now I'm taking the 08 team.
That's a good. All right.
That's good. I like that. You know what I'm saying? That's why I want to bring y'all guys in here too, because not only are you have an excellent platform, you're excellent Boston sports fans. You know what I'm saying? Boston's Big Four encapsulates that. And, you know, to wrap this kind of episode up towards the end, I would like to now give y'all guys the opportunity to shout out anybody you'd like. You know what I'm saying? You can now look into the camera and give those people some love there.
Oh boy. Well, shout out Boston's Big Four YouTube channel. Please subscribe. Please, God, subscribe. If you subscribe to this, you got to subscribe to us. Oh my God. Please. We're all boys. Anyways, also follow Boston's Big Four _ on Instagram if you're not. Keep an eye out where everything's getting revamped right now. We have some remaining merch. If you've seen it before, the Boston's Big Four tees. More is coming. Shows are coming. Lots coming. Keep an eye out for the episodes. So, also just shout out we got to shout out somebody in particular. I want to shout out Connor Hallway. His movie's coming out.
Hell yeah! I just talked to him there.
There you go.
He actually told me to tell y'all what's up.
Oh
Yeah, because I was texting him
Shout
today.
out to Connor.
Shout out
Hell yeah.
Connor. Yeah. So yeah, I think.
And Jack, before you get to you, I will say that's another thing about y'all. Y'all Instagram got like hacked or something, right? And then y'all had to move it to
It didn't
another
get
one?
hacked. It got, well,
Technical difficulties.
technical difficulties.
But you still
it got
inaccessible.
blocked out of
Yeah,
it.
you still like ramped it up. You still basically got all those followers back and then some.
And then some, yeah.
Yes,
I was
yeah.
very happy when we passed that threshold. I was like, all right,
Yeah.
we don't need to worry about
That
that now.
old page will get it. It's
We'll get
just
it.
it's
It's-
right now
it's still-
in it's cryogenic, but we'll get it. Yeah. Go like some of those posts. Maybe if it's active, somebody will help us out. But
Jack, anybody want to shout out?
Who should I shout out?
Shout out Paige Beckers.
Shout out to Paige Beckers. You see the shirt.
Yeah.
This is the new Caitlin Clark's in the WNBA now, so this is the
That's new.
new college superstar.
College, yeah.
I'm a huge UConn fan.
Oh hell yeah! I mean that's New. That's the biggest college in New England.
Yeah. So because of my dad, and he didn't go to UConn, but he's from Connecticut, so he grew up like a big UConn fan. So I watched a lot of games with him. So
what's up.
yeah, I love UConn. So shout out to Paige Beckers. She's gonna kill it this year. I know it. Who else am I shouting out? Shout out to just all the artists in New England that are putting out great music, and the podcast too. Shout out to you. Shout out to
Appreciate
Mike
that.
over here, Turntable Teachers.
Yep.
It's awesome, man. There's so much content to consume right now. Like I just find myself getting lost in it. It's great. You know, I watched a bunch of your episodes before this. I've watched a bunch of his C-Dub. You know, there's a lot. There's a lot. I'm not gonna try to name all of them.
Exactly.
but-
That's a good problem to have. You know what
yeah,
I'm saying?
absolutely. So shout out to all the podcasts.
oh,
you know,
and shout out Noble.
Yeah,
we
music-
always shout
Oh,
out
yeah.
Noble specifically.
Okay.
shout
I
out
like
to
that.
Noble. Shout out
Yeah.
Museum TV. I'm doing
that.
sports interviews for them now.
That is. Oh, I meant to ask you
Yeah.
about that. So how did that? Real quick, how did that come about?
Noble just wanted to start doing sports stuff.
Okay.
So he reached out to me. He's not like a huge sports guy, so
But hey, listen, if there's anybody to reach out for sports, it's you. You know what
I
mean?
appreciate that.
Yeah.
So he brought me in to just interview some college athletes. We got one with Isaac Lane. He just broke the record at Massasoit, all-time scoring record.
That's awesome.
So we got that coming out within the next couple of weeks.
There you
So
go.
yeah,
Always
that's awesome.
expand,
So
yeah.
shout out to Noble, man. I appreciate that opportunity.
Absolutely.
It's great.
Yeah, I've had and like I said, it that's how you kind of think about who Noble is as a person. You know, he gives a lot of people a lot of opportunities.
Yeah,
Look
he
at
didn't
the- I
have to
mean,
do that.
Right,
I mean,
exactly.
And
Look at the
we've been
testing
talking about it for like 2 years, you know, here and there. And I thought maybe he'd just forget about it at some point, but he stayed in touch with me. He's like,
Yeah.
"We're gonna do this." And I was
Yeah.
like, "All right,
No, that's what's
let's
up
go."
because I was on the panel for the testing lab when it started, and I didn't think I'd ever be in that conversation with the people on that panel.
Dude,
but,
I
you know,
want to
it
get
was
on the
awesome.
panel, but I'm nervous. I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, it's like
Were you nervous?
a little bit because
Yeah.
I'm like, because you know, I had just taken the hiatus, and I'm like,
Yeah.
you know, that was my first interaction with a lot of people. It's actually my first interaction face to face with Charlie Machine.
Yeah. You meet a lot of people
You
there.
know, you meet a lot of people, but you know, you get to the point where you realize it's like, okay, you know, I'm here for a reason. You know, I contribute as well to the scene. Noble sees it. The people on the panel sees it. Obviously, people do more than me.
Yeah.
I will say, you know,
It-
and you know, obviously, because I think it was at the time, in terms of like platforms, because obviously, you know, there's Devo and J Rose who make music and produce music. It was me, Charlie, and DML from the Urban Product who were like the only platforms on the panel.
Yeah.
Now it's changed. They have a more consistent because as it got to be, I couldn't get down to Brockton consistently.
Yeah.
And then as I started school, I ended up having classes on Tuesday nights, and that's when the testing lab is. But seeing the growth of it and how he's curated that event to where now he can do giveaways, he can do these all-star shows. It really is awesome to see. So you are correct when we have to shout out Noble a lot of every times because you can't say he doesn't give people opportunities because he does.
Shout out to Dart Adams as well.
Exactly.
I want to say
Hell
that.
yeah! Shout out to Dart Adams.
Dart Adams deserves a shout out every chance we get.
That's a great one. That's one of my. I'll say dream interview. Obviously when I think of dream interview, you think of celebrity, but in terms of the local level,
That's a good
definitely
question.
Dart Adams.
Who's your ultimate dream interview?
So I had said this dead or alive on Mike because Mike for his 100th episode he asked me. I said Anthony Bourdain, but he's obviously had passed.
Dude,
if I
too
have to
soon.
think of someone who's alive, honestly, I gotta go Wes Anderson,
Okay.
who's my favorite director because I'm a big movie buff.
Yeah.
I'd say Wes Anderson or Kevin Garnett.
I was gonna say Kevin Garnett.
Yeah, obviously,
My guy.
hell yeah, definitely Kevin Garnett. But
Kevin Garnett's mine for sure.
If I had to do a sports one, it's definitely Kevin Garnett. Out of sports, I definitely say Wes Anderson, which is obviously maybe out of left field take for people. But if you're the movie buff I am, and you just love all his movies, would definitely be him. But yeah, that's definitely who I would be.
Hell yeah.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed this interview as much as I did giving it. I want to thank Jack and Owen again for coming on here. This was an excellent fucking interview. I had a great time.
Hell
Thanks
yeah.
for having us.
Thanks for the Miller High Life, of course.
Of course.
If you did like this video, which I'm sure you did, please hit a like and leave a comment on the various topics we covered. Owen already told you to leave all these comments. If you're not listening to him, he's going to find you, and you really want him to find you.
He'll do it.
And as always, please make sure you hit that subscribe button on the channel and subscribe to Boston's Big Four channel. I'll leave that in the description of this video so you know where to find them. I'll also leave their handles on all these social media so you know where to find them as well. And as always, if you could, please follow me on Instagram. REPET617 is my personal. Say _that_pod is the pod page. We got a lot of great stuff coming up. And to give y'all a little note, this is actually going to be the last episode where you see this wall behind me all kind of basic. Because I'm getting it overdone. My guy Prop's going to be coming in here. And he's going to be painting it all up. So the next episode y'all see, I'm going to have a different little mural behind me. So get ready for that.
And there will be 12 hidden Mickeys. And if you can find them,
Exactly.
timestamp them.
Sound off in the comments if you think you know who's going to be in the mural.
Right, exactly. Oh, yeah, exactly. I may have already given it away, but
Is it going to be Brandon Bass?
no. That would be funny and cool, but no. I think I said his name.
Brandon Bass and Leandro Barbosa.
Yeah, exactly.
Just the two of them.
I think if I honestly said his name a lot on this platform, on this episode, I'm not going to say who it is.
You
but
probably showed him more love than any other podcast.
yeah, I will. And I will continue to. I don't care if you follow me. That's still my guy. I don't care.
Yeah.
But as always, and gentlemen, if you could help me out with this, y'all know my motto. Don't say this.
Say that.
And we'll see y'all in the next episode. Peace.
Peace.
Snap the fingers.